Hello, and welcome to our next episode of Return on Investment Stories with Muse College Consulting. I am Tracee Duerson, and I'm so excited to have my very special guest here today, Jazzy Rush, to have a robust conversation about all the amazing things you've been doing since undergrad and all your time during undergraduate school. So before I jump right into this conversation, Jazzy, why don't you introduce yourself and just tell us a little bit about how we know each other?
Yes. Hello, everyone watching. I am Jazzy Rush, formerly Jasmine Cherie Rush, back when I thought that I needed my entire name as my stage name. I am a 2021 DePaul graduate. That's where we met. I was in the BFA acting program. Since graduating, I've done a lot of regional theater, Cincinnati Playhouse in the Park, St. Louis Shakespeare Festival. There are some DePaul alums who started the Exodus Ensemble in Santa Fe, New Mexico. I've been a guest artist with them for the past couple of years. And then done a couple of things in Chicago, but have just been kind of moving and grooving and doing a lot. I also am a film director, I guess I can say, because I took my last year of DePaul to opt out of doing shows and instead to direct a film, which we did the premiere of officially last year. And I did the whole festival circuit and all of that stuff. And yeah, and then now I'm gearing up to do my next adventure. So that's that.
Gosh, well, you've been just a little bit busy since we last caught up with each
Just a
other.
little.
Just a little bit, which I love so much, especially knowing, and we'll get into this a little bit more as we chat, but graduating in 2021 was no joke. So, yeah, so we're going to talk about that in a little bit more detail. So, well, welcome again. I'm just so excited to have you here. And it's been a minute since we've again really been able to catch up. So, I can't wait to hear your story and have you share it with anyone who is watching this. So,
Same.
yeah. Okay. So let's jump back a little bit. So you mentioned briefly that you went to DePaul University, which is how we know each other. I would love for you to take a little step back in time and share with our audience what was your journey like exploring programs and majors, and how did you get from senior year of high school to DePaul University?
Yes. So I want to preface this by saying that I was not going to be an actor in my life. That was not the artistic path that I thought I was going to follow. I wanted to be a dancer. I did tap growing up. They were like, well, she's great. She needs to go into ballet. Hated ballet, cried every class. So I never got the formal training, but I loved dance. So when I got into my performing arts school, they said, okay, well, you can audition for two or three programs and we'll choose for you off of your potential. They put me in theater and I cried because I was like, I want to be a dancer. I want to dance back up for Beyonce. I want to be a Miami Heat dancer, a Dallas Cowboy cheerleader. Like I wanted to do all the things that had me like flashing. But I stayed in theater because I had a lot of fun and I couldn't imagine myself doing anything else. And there's the movement element to theater that I just like could not seem to shake because I just knew this was actually the movement that I think I was always destined to do, not the ballet and the tap. And I decided I would keep going until I didn't have fun anymore. So by the time senior year rolled around and I thought, well, this is actually the only thing that I can stomach going into debt for, I decided I wanna go to the best program. I am not gonna settle. I'm from Connecticut, so UConn has a pretty good BFA program, very selective. There's also the Hart School in Hartford. Truthfully, I was like, "No, I gotta get out of Connecticut, and I gotta go bigger," and I had my top 3 schools. DePaul was my top. I just believed that what I saw of the DePaul training with the movement and the voice training, I knew that that was where I needed to be, and I knew that Chicago was where I needed to be, and, thank God I got in. Because a lot of people do not get into their first choice. So, that journey and being at the audition and also seeing that DePaul auditions way differently than a lot of these other programs. I mean, you are doing the movement class, you are doing the voice class, and for somebody who I was really lucky, I came from a fantastic performing arts school in Connecticut that trained me to be ready for that kind of thing, whereas, like, the monologues, I don't think the monologues even had much to do with my audition for DePaul. So, once I got in, I was just like, "Yeah, this was everything I ever wanted, and clearly it's gonna work out, so I gotta do it."
Yeah, that's so amazing. Well, it's interesting for you to talk about that a little bit. And I may have you expand more, but I don't think people often realize how different each audition process can be from school to school, because you kind of think it's acting. So it'll probably just, kind of rinse and repeat as you go along. But that's not always the case, right?
Yeah, I don't think that any of the auditions are going to meet you where you're at all. I really don't. I think that these auditions are for our professors, they're for the school to suss us out. And what you want is you're gonna walk in and realize like, wow, yeah, I wish that I could just do this monologue. And they're like, wow, you're great. Or like, well, we want to see something else. And 9 times out of 10, that doesn't even happen. I mean, that's not a knock to any of these programs. That's just what it is, because that's what happens when you walk into the room too, once you're auditioning in real time in real life. I don't know if that answered the question at all.
Yeah, no, I think that's interesting. It's just that it's such a interesting part in the journey because you're just again, like, you're applying and you're auditioning and you're trying to figure out this great big future without a lot of perspective on what that might even mean. And so I think some of it is also maybe just like seeing how it turns out as you go along, right? Like having
Yes.
interests and choices and preferences of where you want to go and apply and program types. But sometimes also the journey is just going to take you where you're going to go. It's meant to take you.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, when I think back to that time, I don't even know how to explain what I want to say, but it was just like I had no plan B. Just none at all. My mom so badly wanted me to, but I just knew that I couldn't. In my heart, I knew that that's not what I needed to have. And I think that this is such a huge investment with the return. It's not going to look like what you think it is. Gonna be famous at 22 years old. You're not gonna book necessarily Broadway or Max right out the gate. And I say all that because I knew in my heart that I didn't want to have a plan B and that my life was gonna kind of ride this wave, but you really have to be prepared to go, "Well, if it doesn't happen the way I want, what am I going to settle for, if at all?" And I knew that I was ready to not settle. I knew if I don't get into DePaul, Juilliard, or, what was my last choice? Oh my goodness, but, it's in New York City. Is it not Pace?
It could be pace,
Maybe is it Pace? I think
pace,
so.
pace,
SUNY Purchase.
SUNY Purchase. There we go.
Yeah, SUNY Purchase, DePaul, or Juilliard. I knew that I was gonna take a gap year, and I
Yeah.
was very much okay with that. So I think as you decide and as you choose what you wanna audition for, because auditions cost money,
Mhm.
do not settle for a program that you know that if you got in, you might just say no to because now you're out 50 bucks, and 50 bucks is 50 bucks these days. But you really have to decide what it is that you will say yes to, what you will say no to, because that's also going to be your acting career once you graduate is a lot of you deciding your yeses and nos if you choose to. So, got to get comfortable with it from the beginning.
Yeah, that's so helpful to hear you say. Yeah, it's such a journey. But what I really appreciate about all of that is that you were very confident in your decision and what you want to do, and you weren't willing to settle. And I think that's really important. When you know that you have a passion and a love and a talent, settling is not the way to go, right? So sometimes it just means you have to think about what it's going to take to get to those steps. I also love too that you said like nothing really turns out the way you're initially imagining it, right? But that's life. Like I wish
Yes.
telling everybody this right now. Like, that is life. Things just
Life.
don't always follow the pathway that you have carved. And sometimes the pivots are what make it really most exciting. So,
Yes.
yeah,
Yes.
yeah.
I mean, I'm sitting here. I today officially turned down understudying at the Goodman for the third time because I had decided I would rather actually travel and live my life than to be doing something that I've done before. I've done twice. Doesn't really feel great for me to do, doesn't feel good in my body. The pay isn't great. And I would truly just rather take my career into my own hands and not settle for this thing. And the Goodman is they've been so good to me. But this is your life. This
Yeah.
is your life, and the Goodman will be there.
Yes.
All these theaters, all of these programs will be there. You can always reapply, re-audition, but what's going to help you to really be able to step back and go, "I'm so proud of the decisions that I've made." And maybe to be proud, it is to say yes to some of those things,
Mhm. Yeah.
but you have to decide that for you.
That's right, and it's so empowering to also be able to say, "No, this is not the right time or place for me." Yeah.
Yes.
Yes. Oh, that's amazing. That's beautiful. Okay, so let's talk about this. So you knew you wanted to do acting. Amazing, right? That's that you just like, "This is it. This is for me. It's acting or nothing," right? So you get into DePaul, which I'm so grateful for because I got to hang out with you for the time you were there and get to
Yeah.
know you as the beautiful human that you are.
Oh,
So tell me a little bit about just your experience in a BFA acting program, and maybe share some of the things that you're most grateful for, and maybe some of the challenges that you weren't expecting.
I am most grateful for actually my ensemble, my class. We took things very seriously from day one. I mean, in a way where we probably could have loosened up, but very quickly we were like, we're here to be the best of the best in this city. And like, not even like just as individuals, but just as a group. We were like, we're going to show this school who we are, that we mean business. And we did a lot of fantastic things. I mean, started like, some of us created, like, legacies in the affinity groups that we created together.
Mhm.
My experience at DePaul, I really did love, and I adored it. I think that there are a decent amount of people from any BFA or conservatory program that did not have a great experience, and I think all of them are valid, every single one of them. I'm one of the ones who enjoyed my time and had a great time because, I mean, I got really serious about this. It was like playtime is over.
Mhm.
The way that I see actor training is that it is going to identify each and every single one of your habits, and it's going to force you to get deep about where they came from in your life, in your childhood, and you have to face them. And you don't have to face them to then use them to get anywhere emotionally. I'm not even saying that. You have to face them to go, am I going to let this habit continue in my life or am I going to just have it move through me? Understand I know where it comes from, understand that it does not have a hold on me, and I can choose to use it or not if I ever need to. I mean, Nicole Ricciardi, who was our acting teacher our first year, she had said to us, acting is not therapy. Don't use it as therapy. Go see a real therapist. And that is absolutely 100% true. I think that acting is just gonna show you what kind of therapy you need, and if you go to a school like DePaul, we got 20 free counseling sessions, then you can really start to work through that stuff, because I think a lot of us become actors because we either didn't get a lot of attention at home or we started to make ourselves become different people sometimes as a way to cope. There's just a lot of mental health that's wrapped up in this career, and if you don't take care of it, I think that it could get a little maybe dangerous isn't the word, but you could just maybe spiral or you just don't have the tools to know what you can or cannot use, if that makes sense. And DePaul just forced me to take myself seriously and my health seriously. And yeah, I think that's like part of the reason why it's such a great time. And I had so many teachers I could lean on who saw potential in me and really challenged me to rise up to the occasion. And on top of it all, I had a really fun time. I just did. I had a fun time. I cried a lot. There's a lot of, "What am I doing? Am I doing the right thing? Am I uh, why can't I, you know, drop into this scene?" But I had fun.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
I love it. I love that you had fun. I love that you are elevating the vulnerability and just recognizing that mental health is super important, especially when you're in college and navigating these changes. For a lot of people who go to earn degrees in theater, they leave their hometown, their home state. They're thrown into just a whole new world and experience. And I can very much understand how it could be easy for lines to blur and, thinking that your acting program is therapy, and it's really not
Yeah.
thing I've really appreciated and as Muse has been launching and I've been getting to know programs in different ways and I've known them previously is a lot of institutions are now focusing on mental health as really one of the primary things that students need to be able to access easily, in this day and age and time. And so, while it was also available at DePaul, I think it's getting better and better as we're moving forward. And I'm grateful for that because it's such a pivotal point in your lives, right? You're going to college, you're moving out of your family home probably for the first time in your lives, and the 18 to 22 years of age, like, there's so much change and development and growth that just happens that, there's just it's a lot. It's a lot.
Yeah, it's a whole lot, and I think that you're not prepared for you're just not prepared for what it means until you're in it, and once the pandemic happened, I know we'll get into that, but once the pandemic happened, a lot of people just did not we could never have prepared for that, and so we just didn't even know what our capacity was, what our limits, what our boundaries were. We were in a time that was so confusing, we're figuring everything out on a dime, it seemed like. You couldn't prepare for anything. We were at the whim of our feelings and our emotions about everything that all of us were experiencing. And I think that that changed a lot of programs because, in an empowering way, students had more say as to say, like, this serves me and this does not. I think it also gave so much to the students that I think a lot of professors didn't know how to, like, take any control back. But I guess I only say that because I do know that at least at DePaul, sometimes you can still, like, this was not what it was for us. We could not just miss classes, like, we just could not.
Mm.
But I hear stories of students now who just, like, don't show up, and they come when they wanna come, and they da 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 da, and to those students, I say, "Please get the counseling help that you need," and I also wanna say, "Do not take out these loans for nothing." If
Mm.
you need to take a break, take a real break and get out of the program. If you decide this is not for you, withdraw, but the last thing you wanna do is accumulate 50, 60, 70, 80K in debt. I promise you it's gonna change your life when it's done, all that debt, just to say, "Yeah, I went to half my classes." It's just not worth it. It's
Yeah,
just not.
it is not worth it. No, I thank you. It's such a, I mean, any degree in higher education is an investment that needs to be taken seriously, right?
Mhm.
Yeah, no, I appreciate that. So I think that's an interesting segue. So you graduated in 2021. Woof, what a time to graduate for any student. But let's talk about like what happened when you graduated. You gave us a little brief preview at the beginning, but what have you been doing since then, and how has that journey been, especially knowing you came out of undergrad in the height of a pandemic?
Yeah. Gosh, how do I even answer that? Yes, what have I been up to? So I graduated, I immediately booked. Actually, I'm gonna say this first. I got my agent while I was in my last year because at DePaul, the way it's set up is that you audition for all of the agents in March. And then hopefully, if you hear from one or two or three or four, however many, you choose one, and then you're represented by the time that you graduate in May or June. And so once I graduated, I actually had lined up a show at Shakespeare and Company, and I would have never gotten that if it wasn't for DePaul because Nicole Ricciardi was directing it. So I got to be Christopher Lloyd's daughter because I played Cordelia in his King Lear, and that was incredible. And then it was like shortly after that, things got real, Tracy. Like shortly after that, I was like, oh, yeah, I am not on the this is not the playground. This is really the industry because pilot season as we knew it was collapsing. And so the way that I had this idea that I was going to graduate and immediately be auditioning for TV and commercials and theater, I was auditioning, yes, but the amount of roles had already started to drop. Cut to, was it 2 years ago? I'm with Great Talent. There's a coffee with Dawn kind of like a meeting that they have every Friday, I think first Friday of the month, where they just choose a topic and they talk to everyone about it for about 20 minutes. And 2 years ago, they had the one about pilot season, where Zach Gray explained to us that there was a time where there were 200 pilots that were introduced. As an actor, if you booked the pilot, you would be paid to fly out to LA, do the job. Whether or not it got picked up, you were paid for your work. Yeah, there are about 300 pilots that'd be introduced a year. And as of 2 years ago, there were four. So that is just no longer a thing. Navigating that, thinking that I was going to graduate and book not only that, but I'd book storefront theater and that was going to help pay my loans. It doesn't. And I thought, okay, I'll become a teaching artist. That wasn't for me. I didn't actually enjoy working with children. And I didn't enjoy having to trek 2 hours really, really far because I don't have a car here in Chicago just to be paid $50 and then turn them right back around and go home. So on top of me, yes, eventually booking about two stage roles a year, and those roles not being necessarily in Chicago, but giving me space to travel. Between that, I've had to work at restaurants. I've had to become a waitress. It's the most flexible thing that I can do. And the money is pretty good on the weekends, especially during the summer or when it's not winter here. So, I mean, I say that to just say that it's going to look like however it's going to look. Am I okay with it? Absolutely. Because I love the hustle and bustle of a restaurant. I love the hustle and bustle of being able to deal with all of the stuff there and then actually leave it there and go home, work 3 or 4 days a week and have the other to myself to just audition or do anything I need to. And some of my friends don't audition anymore because they decided it wasn't for them and they would rather have a stable job. But I am a nomadic soul in a lot of ways, and I'm okay with this flexibility and I'm okay with not being a star right out the gate. I'm okay with that. I'm okay with building.
Yeah. I love that. And I think that, I mean, there's so much in the journey of building, right? Like, there's no doubt that if you stepped out as undergrad and booked a huge film role, right? Like, and you're famous and didn't have time to talk to me right now, like, I'm sure you'd be loving that in most ways too, right?
Yeah, maybe.
It's a great job. There's also just like having to go through the building and continuing to focus on centering what's really important to you and knowing as you're continuing to get selected for roles that you have hustled and worked hard to get there. Like there's also a lot of beauty in that, even though sometimes you might want to sit in a corner and cry for a minute, like, why is this hard? But it is hard. There's just like most jobs and professional experiences are not just handed to you. You've got to put
Exactly.
the work and the love that they require. So, yes, and, okay, so in the roles that you've booked and the experiences that you've had, just talk a little bit about, like, what have been some of the things you've loved the most and where you continue to drive that passion from as you're in these different roles?
Oh my gosh, I really love this question because I think it's something that maybe not everyone could say even 10 years ago, which is most of the things that I've booked have been Black productions. I'm talking a Black playwright, Black director, and I'm talking about a lot of Black women. I would say over half of my resume maybe have been shows directed by or where I've like directly been guided by Black women. And when I tell the elders that I meet in this profession, they're always like, really? But that is really the core of the passion, which is community for me. I think the reason my theater was always fun for me was because it was ensemble. It was all of us together creating something. The programs that even at DePaul and in high school for me were all devising. So you had no choice but to figure it out together and to do weird stuff together to figure out what's going to fit. And I've just been really blessed with some fantastic casts around me. And that's why I told you before we started this, I'm taking a big break for myself. And that's because I know what the passion is. But on top of, yeah, being burnt out by the economy of the US, I am really tired and exhausted. And it's not bringing me to be my best self in the room, to be able to connect as much as I would love to. And it's not making me excited to even audition. And I need to get back to what excites me, which is the people, the community. And that's why I say I know my soul is nomadic and that I don't need a plan B outside of acting because I can travel and I can create a community that I can still create with. That's just what my soul wants. So I can get it there in my profession and I can get it in my leisure. And I'm just hoping that they continue to fuel each other.
Yeah, yeah, and rest is so important, especially I imagine for actors, not being one myself, but this profession, it's your body and soul giving to others, right? You're not like at a computer and at the end of the day you go home and that doesn't mean that that can't be soul sucking, like trust me, but
For sure.
you are taking on a different character persona and giving your whole being to whatever role that you're in. And that I think is, and please add into this because again, I'm just, thinking about what this might be like as a patron watching a show, you're giving a lot of yourself. And so rest and care, and I think honoring who you want to play, who you want to work with, the ensembles you want to be a part of, that's got to just be so important at its core in what you're doing.
Yeah, because it's hard to balance all of it, to balance the love with the work. And that's in any profession, right? That you're passionate about something. I mean, I know you probably feel this now in starting your own business, knowing that it's something that you want, that you love, that you honor, and being like, damn, I would love to eat Cheetos and watch Love is Blind most of my days, actually.
Yes.
Only do this when it's fun. But that's just not what it is. What I had to do, just to give you a glimpse into the last show that I did here in Chicago, I mean, it was a huge hit, I just have to say it was, at Raven Theater. It was called Oak, directed by Michael Burke, another DePaul alum, and then Terry Guest, who is a brilliant playwright in the city. And it was a show that a lot of people were gunning for. It was a show that a lot of people wanted a role in. And when I booked it, I just knew that I had to rise up and step up. And so we're talking before I even step into the room, I'm in the script all the time, memorizing so that I can be memorized by the time we are starting for real. I'm doing the artist way, trying to prepare myself emotionally. I'm doing all this stuff. So there's all those hours of mental and emotional work. Then you get into the space and you have to be there for about 5, 6 hours, 5 days out of the week. On top of that, I'm doing my day job. Once we start to build the show, we realize, yeah. Jasmine, you knew this. You don't leave the stage. You just don't. You maybe step off for 30 seconds here and there, but you're on the stage the entire time. You are crying once we've reached the half point for the rest of the show. You are yelling. You have a visceral, primal scream. You are like actually running on stage at points. You're doing fight for all this stuff. So I would wake up at 8 a.m., get to my day job by 10, leave there at 3, 3:30, go right to the theater just because that was the easiest thing to do, not even really start anything until 7 o'clock. So I'm there for like 3, 4 hours. Finally get to do the show, and now we're done at 10:30. So we're talking about like a 14-hour day. Yeah.
Yeah, it's a lot. For people who have no idea what an actor's life looks like, that right there.
Yeah.
Yes, the
People think you're
physicality.
just playing around. It's like,
Right.
no.
Yeah. Come hop onto the stage and we're gonna have some fun. No, it's physicality, it's emotions, embodying another character. It's working beforehand. It's a lot. And I say this and I re-emphasize it, beyond what you just said, but like this field and this profession needs so much respect, right? People just see the end product or they show up to the show and it's like, yay, so fun. I just got my little break for the last couple of hours and you all are working.
And people think it's so fun, and they also think that, like, we don't have stage fright, and I'm like, "Do you realize the anxiety that lives in our body all the time?" Like, on top of the labor of it all, the emotional stress of knowing that you are about to put yourself in front of 100 people, 1,000 people. When I did, Shakespeare in the Park in St. Louis, 3, 4, 5,000 people, and knowing that you just have to do it and be on and give these people what they want. I mean, how many professions can say that they have to, like, give themselves to the mercy of people in that way, because
Mhm.
it's not about you anymore. It's just not. It's about everyone else but you, actually, in a lot of ways. Like, it becomes about your scene partner. It becomes about the little kid who wants to talk to you after and you're so tired, but you have to stay and you wanna hear everything that they wanna say. It's about the person who paid $50 that they didn't really have to come and support you. No? Yeah, gosh, yes, sure, you could say it's not brain surgery and blah, 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 but neither is being an accountant, and I know that they're probably tired.
Exactly.
Nothing is brain surgery except brain surgery, so, like, we're all entitled to have our exhaustion. It's
Yes.
okay. It's
Yes.
okay.
It's okay. It's so okay. But yeah, I just hope like I really appreciate your transparency in that. And I just hope people are, taking a moment to pause and like, I had no idea, like, or I do have an idea. And like, thank you for saying that out loud for the rest of us, right?
Yeah, and may I say too, when you are in the building block stage of this career, like not getting paid well either. And that's because it's just, and I hope that any college students who are really thinking about this path really take that into consideration, which is if you want to do it for the money, I think there's probably a very specific way in which you could do that. That you could figure out. It's not going to be the standard way, and it's probably going to take a lot more figuring out to do. But like, you just don't do this because you think you're gonna get paid millions of dollars right away. And if you do think that, I need you to know that that's not what's gonna happen. It's just not. It's not what's gonna happen. But this hit show that I just did paid me 200 a week. So I had to do my day job on top of it. And now I'm taking a lunch shift instead of a night shift. So that's already a dock and pay. I just really want students to know just like what the financial hardship is going to look like because that's just what the industry can also offer. There's not really a lot of money in theater. I've been to I guess you could say a couple of the best in the country, and the bathrooms need to be renovated and they can't even do that, because they're trying to pay you to do what you're doing. You just have to know that. You're gonna put a lot on the line, you're gonna be tired and you're not gonna make a lot, but you're gonna be happy. But you are.
Yes.
You're gonna be really happy and fulfilled, I think.
Mhm.
Especially if you like the job that you do on top of that, that helps you pay your bills.
Yeah, exactly. No, I appreciate that. And there's so, so, so much to be said for being happy in what you do. There really is, right? Because there are many people who choose, I'm just going to go to work every day. I'm going to make money. I may go to work every day so I can make a lot of money. And then I'm going to come home and be like, nah, about my life. Like, don't settle for the meh. Choose happy, I think is some of the best advice I can give from the perspective of the career I've had so far because I've
Yeah.
had both sides, like pure joy in my professional life and sadness in my professional life. And when I have made intentional choices for the joy, it just my whole life shines brighter, as cheesy
Yeah.
as it sounds, but it's so true.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. Because it's you honoring you. I mean, it's just something that becomes easier to do with time as well, is choosing the joy.
Yeah, it totally does. I love this. Talk to us about, as we wrap up this conversation, what do you feel like the return on investment has been so far in choosing this path and this profession and receiving the training that you did in a BFA acting program?
Might go a little corny, but it is what it is. I think for one, the acting program and all the ways that it made me a better communicator and that it made me more aware of myself. I think that you can get yourself into any day job that you kind of want. If I didn't want to be in restaurants for the flexibility, I know for a fact that I could be somewhere else. And that's because you just simply learn to have audacity and you learn to have confidence and you learn to communicate and you use it. So your return on investment might not be directly in what you got your degree in. Oh, but trust, if you want to move up and do something, we have a lot of people in real estate, who we have someone who actually is getting now a biology degree, that's from my class. We have people who are working in offices, someone who's directing the architecture, whatever the heck, in downtown. And these are all people with acting degrees because you just know how to carry yourself. And if you have another interest, you know how you can market it and package it for yourself. So you will find a return on the investment. But I think also when I think about this career, this training has just kind of made me a beast, if I may say so myself. It has made me go into rooms and try things differently in auditions and try things differently in the room and make people go, "Where did you go to school? Let me look at your resume." And they're like, "Okay." I had someone even say they didn't even look at my bio for the show I just did, but they said to somebody else, I knew that she was trained by Phyllis Griffin. I heard it in her voice, and at the end of the show, I looked and I saw that that's exactly where she went. So, the training at these programs, if the training aligns with what you want, will take you far because 'cause you'll feel good doing it. You won't feel like you're being forced. You'll feel really honored to hold that information in your body and to share it with people and to keep feeding it to yourself. And I think lastly, the school that you go to kind of does give you a little bit of a like a, "Oh, okay, you went here? Oh my god, that's where I went to school." And DePaul is one of the ones that's good for that. And I think maybe the last thing I'll say is with all that being said, you will do what you do and you will do great work and you will put yourself out there and then your name will start being spoken. It'll start begin to be getting spoken into rooms that you never even thought they'd be spoken in and you won't even know what is about to be set up for you because of what you did in school and how that carried into your career after it. You'll just start to see it. People will start to know you and be like, "How do you know me?" "Oh, yeah, because you worked with so and so and they worked with so and so and da da da." "Wow, okay." And they thought of you. And so that's why I'm asking you to do this job.
Yeah.
So
Yes. I love hearing you say that because that has been absolutely a common theme among all of these interviews that I've done so far is the network that you get out of being part of an undergraduate community and then all of the different little bits and places, you go and the jobs that you do, it all of a sudden it just I keep seeing this, but it starts to snowball into all of these like positive opportunities because somebody knows you who knows you or wants to know you, seen your work, showed up to your show, all the different things. So it's huge. Networking is big. And I think it's also so important for students and adults, right? To just know that the impression that you make and leave will stick with you one way or the other. So make a good one.
and Terrell Alvin McCraney, who came from DePaul, I've heard him now speak twice at DePaul, which also that's a thing too. When famous people come to DePaul, you can just sneak on in there and
Yep.
listen for free. And he said, "This is your network. Everyone you're sitting next to, talking to, working with right now, you will work with in your career." And that's been exactly my experience, especially being in Chicago or like doing Exodus.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, it's you are networking while you're there. Don't put a lot of pressure on yourself to think you have to be a certain kind of person for so and so. No, just be kind and be ready to soak up information and to do your best because the network, they're right there and they got you and you got them.
That's right. Exactly. And it's just, yeah, it's such a lovely part of the community and the ensemble, and it's a small world being in theater. So, again, once you really start building, it's easier to find success when you are genuinely interested in your art and your profession. And so I think that's just such a beautiful part of it. Yeah.
It
Oh my
is.
gosh, Jazzy, it was so lovely to talk to you and hear your words of wisdom and advice and how you've been truly thriving in the last 4 years since you graduated and the time before that. Just such a joy. I'm going to tell people to go, search you online and look up the reviews from
Yeah.
Oak because I did and they are incredible.
Thank you.
I hope that continues to find success if it's meant to and whatever your next roles are.
Thank you.
I cannot wait to see you perform and hope others who watch this get to as well. So thank you so much for being a guest. I really appreciate you more than you will know.
You don't even know how honored I am that you even asked me to do this. I thought, what do I even have to say? And then I realized, no, I actually have a lot because life is life and we have a lot to share. So thank you for trusting me to come onto your platform as you step into such an expansive part of your life and your career. So thank you, truly.
You.